Hey YouTube, this should be a short podcast. I've been seeing people having troubles getting onto foil, and I don't want to lay out the entire how to get onto foil because I think there's other videos that do that much better than I can. But let's talk about some of the things that I do that are going to help me succeed. And so you can see in these videos, I'm not going to do all these techniques. So this goes back to when I first started with the foil drive, and you can see the old Assist Plus on the front of the board on some of these. The technique is not the best. There's certainly some pros out there that are so much better at this. I'm only trying to give you what I know works. And so let's go with the basics. And I would say one of the most important things is to lay flat on the board and build up speed before you go ahead and try to get to your knees or stand. Not so much of a problem if you're riding a 100-liter downwind board. You can see from the video you don't need all that. But if you're riding a smaller board, even like a 65 or 50-liter prone foil board, you're going to want to lay down for a little bit, get that speed. Now, speaking of boards, your board choice is going to make a big difference. More so than liters, the dimensions on those boards are going to make a huge difference. And by that I mean, if you've got something that looks like a downwind board, long and narrow, that's going to get up really easy. If you get something like the 30-liter pump that I have, that thing is really compact. And it's a little bit wide for how compact it is. So that's not the easiest board to get up on, but it's fun once you're up. That's why I use it, not because it's easy to get going. So you could actually have a 35-liter, board that's somewhat long, thin, and and narrow, and that's going to get up better than some of the old wing boards, that were kind of stubby, short and stubby and wide and really thick. Those are difficult to get a foil drive going on. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing your first, say, performance e-drive board. Choppy water with large waves, I find that more difficult to get going on smaller foils, smaller boards than say small waves that are clean. And by that I mean, when I go ahead and drop in, I start building speed, and if there's chop coming from a second direction that rolls right in front of me, I plow right into it. If I haven't risen up and got onto foil by the time that chop hits, it buries my nose and I'm plowing. And so it's really difficult. Those conditions are really difficult. And plowing is another thing you need to look for. So if you're hitting the throttle when you first start laying prone and you see like all this water in front of you kicking up, and that's all that's happening, either your board is too small, or it's the wrong dimensions, or you've got your foil's not big enough to lift the board out of the water, or it's just not positioned in the right position on the mast. I mean, the mast is not in the right position on the board. And by that, I mean, to rise up, it needs to be pushed forward enough that it causes it to rise. Now, if you push it too far forward, it'll rise too early, and then you'll stall. You can control that a little bit by trying to hold the board down, but in the end, your ride is probably not going to be that good on the wave if your nose is rising violently when you're trying to get going. I have mine pushed back pretty far, and I've also got the tail shimmed negatively, so I have the least amount of drag, the most speed before I get going, and that helps keep it neutral in the waves. So as I'm dropping in a wave, I am using a combination of putting pressure on the nose and pushing it down, and the throttle to control both my speed and my pitch. And so if I don't do that, then I'm going to build a lot of speed, and the nose is going to shoot out of the air. So you have to do those things if you're using a wave to get going. Once you get to your feet, what I've noticed is I'm transitioning. I have to add a little bit of power as I put my rear foot into the straps so that I don't sink out and then bury the nose. So there's a lot of, in a wave, a lot of, you know, different things going on. Flat water is the easiest place to learn this unless you're on a tiny foil. But if you ride an oversized foil for the setup you're on, you should be able to get off the water very quickly. If you're riding an undersized foil for the setup and your weight, it's going to be more difficult. And so if you find yourself you can't get on foil, see if you can find a friend that has a bigger foil that's, say, medium aspect or low aspect, that they're willing to loan you to see if that works better, because that might be the issue you're running into. May not be, but it could be. And so, you know, unfortunately, it's hard to troubleshoot this stuff over the internet. You post videos, people can kind of see it, but your local shops, this is why it's important to buy locally, because they're really the ones that should be able to help you with your setup. If one last thing, as you're laying prone in the beginning, keep your head up and also bend your legs, keep your feet out of the water, keep your legs out of the water if you can, because any drag that you got behind you is going to slow you down. So any drag you can eliminate is going to make it easier to get on foil. That's all right. That's all I got this time. Should have another video up here soon. Thanks for watching.